Good Packer Nation morning, everybody. It's finally Wednesday. We'll get the injury report today. We've got some rumblings of news on Jordy Nelson, but the big news yesterday was Geronimo Allison in the news for all the wrong reasons. Emoji me your thoughts. I'm going to angry face this one just because it's just the wrong time. And, undrafted rookie free agent, you gotta be smarter than that. And, of course, this actually happened back in October, but the reason it came into the news now is because his court date comes up in January. So I think the 23rd of this month. So it's probably not going to affect him in terms of any kind of suspension or anything. He'll probably plead out. Hey there, Troy, Marquez, Jeff, Keith, and Marley are here. But yeah, I think a lot in Packer Nation are just kind of disappointed. I mean, it's not necessarily that we think it's that big a deal, but it's just disappointing. It's the wrong time. He's going to, why have a court date? I think that this court date's going to get pushed till February. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Joe says, what's up? Hey, JB is here. Marcus Atreyu's back as well. Good to see you. Jay on. Cool name. Mike is here. I didn't do a lot of Packer Nation roll call. I guess I should do some of that before we get going. But emoji me your thoughts on Geronimo Allison. I don't think this is going to be a big deal. He's probably not going to. I believe it's first offense. This is a misdemeanor anyway. Sean, Toussaint, Carrie, Atreyu, what do you guys think? Monica, MJ. To me, it's just one of those. I would angry face this just simply because, regardless, I could care less about really. Honestly, the whole pot thing, it's going to be legal everywhere, in my opinion, very soon. It's not that. It doesn't have to do with that. It just has to do with the fact that this is such a boneheaded move. Of course, it happened way back in October. Who knows what was going through the guy's head at that point? But now the court date comes up, so it gets in the news. Could become a distraction. I kind of doubt it. Actually, I think it might help him get more focused and stay focused on football. The NFL is kind of good about this in the sense that, the first offense, they're not going to hand down. They're going to try to help him out. And hopefully he will follow through that because it looks like, they did test the stuff that was in his car and found THC in it. So I'm expecting he'll plead out and, probably pay a fine or something. And then we'll go about our business. But nothing probably going to affect him in terms of his ability to play for the rest of this year. Even if something happened or, it was a second offense, there would be appeals involved. This is going to get pushed back if anything happens, and I don't think anything's going to happen. So, all right. And Bryce says they didn't file till December, and the office knew all about it. Yeah, and that's the thing. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the only problem I have with this whole situation is just this is a young guy making a young guy's mistake. The question is, and you can emoji me your thoughts on this, does he learn from it or not? Do you learn from this? You made a mistake. It happened way back in October. Probably didn't even think you were ever going to take the field. Now you've become somewhat, with Jordy Nelson hurt, we're looking to you to show some of the production that you did during the season. And we're going to need you, if Jordy can play. And that brings us to the topic of Jordy Nelson. I was listening to the Dan Patrick Show. Thank you, Tom. Tom informed me that Aaron Rodgers is going to be on the Dan Patrick Show. Listened to that yesterday. Got some interesting, interesting insight into his, snow clearing of his driveway habits. But then basically some of the talk was about whether Jordy Nelson was going to be able to create the training staff would be able to create some kind of a girdle or pad him up with a flak jacket of some kind, and maybe he can play in this game. With that type of injury, you can pad it up a little bit, but my concern is, if I know we may need him in this game, but I kind of maintained yesterday that we can beat the Cowboys without Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson he was not on fire by any means when we played the Cowboys the first time around in Week 6. Several drops. He had the 5 catches in that game, 60-some yards, But this is what the coaching staff and the training staff is going to have to weigh. To me, if he's not healthy, why pad him up and risk him? Seriously, what can happen? They were concerned about lacerated internal organs, spleen at one point. Man, that's a pretty serious risk. And even if he just gets dinged up, what if we beat the Cowboys, and then he can't play for the next game. It's only going to get tougher from here on out. Tommy says, when you have Aaron, you always have a chance. And that's true. And again, this Geronimo Allison thing, this is a guy that we can expect, if Jordy can't go, that he's going to be able to have some production. Trey wants to rest him. Thumbs up if you want to rest Jordy Nelson. Angry face if it's just like, let him go, if he can play. This is the playoffs, guys. That argument is there. If these guys, we need our best players on the field. So, I can totally see that argument. But I've been watching this team, and guys, what is it? A lot of people want to rest Jordy right now. And Charles says, give Allison the ball. Let the kid make his play. And we still got Devontae Adams. I think Randall Cobb has an opportunity. And I watched. Now, okay, so I went back and I wanted to do, you know me, I do some of these sort of comp. I'll do a comparison between some other games that these teams have played, etc. Well, obviously, the immediate one that would jump to your mind is let's watch how the Dallas Cowboys fared against the Giants, because they lost to them week 1 and they lost to them also like week 11, I want to say. But I didn't do that. I went to week 16 when the Giants were playing the Detroit Lions, because I thought, well, geez, Stafford's a good quarterback. Their defense and our defense, like I give our defense a little bit of a nod, but they're not stellar. Obviously, the Cowboys dropped a 40-burger on them in this game, and they didn't even have anything to play for. They had already punched their ticket to the playoffs. The Detroit Lions, on the other hand, were trying to play for their playoff lives at the time. But a couple things popped up. And this goes to my point about Jordy, is one of the things that popped up is Eric Ebron had a heck of a day against the Dallas Cowboys defense. Guys, we've said, and I know I'll get some thumbs up for this because you guys are thinking it too, that Jared Cook, this could be his time to shine, and this could be the game where we need Jared Cook. And if he can come through, this guy, Aaron Rodgers, is happy to have him. I posted about this morning. Aaron Rodgers is happy to have him, and he is happy to have Aaron Rodgers and have a chance for the first time in his career in 8 years. JB says, feed Cook. I agree. If Jordy, this is the problem if Jordy can't go. Because one of the things Jordy, even if he's not 100%, is Jordy is going to require attention by the defense. And if he can't go, then that attention can be metered out elsewhere. Could be Jared Cook. But then I think Randall Cobb has a big game. Devontae Adams maybe has a big game. Good morning, Candy, Tommy, John. And Mike wants the slant with Cook. Let's get him inside. Let's get him started early. And that slant, it was mentioned earlier, helps us with the possession game. We know Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the ball. We're going to sling the ball around a little bit. But let's manage the time of possession in this game. Cowboys got out against Detroit, and Ezekiel Elliott was running for 52 yards and a touchdown in one shot play. Our defense can't allow that to happen. On the offensive side of the ball, we have to play a bit of a possession game because our defense they're going to get so tired out. Number one, if we go 3 and out, we cannot have these 3 and outs. We can't stall for quarters at a time. My buddy Jared is here. Says, go Pack, go. Hope you're doing well, my friend. So we've seen that this defense can tire out. They can struggle if, as soon as the offense starts going 3 and out, we have big time problems. However, on the same token, I would prefer to score points fast. But if you score points fast, the defense has to go on the field as well. Okay? So this is going to be a tough test. But I see why everyone on the planet, it seems like, is giving the NFC to the Cowboys. Anybody else get a little pissed off? Got a little angry face for me? That it's like the Cowboys are the darlings of the NFL all of a sudden? And yes, they have played well all year long. But like I said yesterday, they are the exact same team. They have run into very little adversity this year. Packers, on the other hand, have gone through everything there is to go through, from injuries on the defense, then the injuries on the offense, not having a running game to speak of. Revolving door at running back. Aaron Rodgers having his downtime, and we came back. Check out the stats. This was rolled up on the Dan Patrick Show yesterday. The last 8 games, Aaron Rodgers in the last 8 games. Average yards per game passing, 297.5. That's average. He's basically averaging 300 yards a game. 22 touchdowns in the last 8 games with, of course, no interceptions and a passer rating of almost 121. And this Dallas Cowboys defense is kind of a bend-don't-break defense without a lot of superstars. And Candy's making it, saying it. Nobody's giving us a chance in this game. But I know I could probably get a heart or two because in the back of my mind, I think Aaron Rodgers, I think this team, and personally myself, I kind of relish being the underdog. Let them not believe in us. And then when we go out and stomp the Cowboys and they don't know what hit them, because this is a totally different offense that they're going to face, then let's send the Cowboys home. We'll shut up all the national pundits, and maybe at some point, I don't care, all the way through until we finish this thing and run the new table. I don't care if they give us any chance in any of these games. Because like was mentioned earlier, we got Aaron Rodgers, therefore we have a chance in any of these games. And frankly, I think the Cowboys had better be very, very careful or they're going to get blown out in this game. And Jacob's saying we're going to shock the Cowboys. Jacob, I saw on your Facebook that you were a little bit of a sort of personal things going on with death in the family, I think. So, man, my heart goes out to you. I hope you're doing okay. Tough times. So, yeah, we're thinking of you. Yeah, so at any rate, I kind of relish it to some extent. It ticks me off when I'm, before the game. But, what this comes down to is win one more Sunday. That's all. That's our focus. Win one more on Sunday. And frankly, I love that this team has faced every team will face, basically, in the NFC anyway, NFC side. We faced each of these teams. So we compared yesterday the Week 6 matchup against the Cowboys, and the Packers lost that game, the Cowboys, much more so than the Cowboys winning it. And this team needs to go out on the field. We need to get our business done. It's not going to be an easy game, I don't think, by any stretch of the imagination. However, if we do some things right and our defense steps up, defense has been stepping up in terms of points given away. And if we can get in Dak Prescott's face a little bit, get him rattled a little bit, which we were able to do in the initial meeting, if we can keep them one-dimensional by stopping the run, I think we got a very good chance in this game. Does that mean that Dak Prescott and the Cowboys aren't going to make their plays? Yeah, sure, they're going to make their plays. But we got Aaron Rodgers, and our defense has found a way to keep folks out of the end zone. We need to continue that trend. All right. Let's see. Oh, this is a little bit off the Packers subject, but I heard this morning on Mike and Mike, so I was just going to throw this out. I don't know if you've heard it, but you can emoji me your thoughts. Johnny Manziel is going to be signing autographs before the Super Bowl in a couple of malls for like $99 an autograph. Johnny Manziel. I'm just throwing that out there. It's kind of, you got to be kidding me, kind of a thing. But I did want to throw that out and let you emoji me your thoughts on that, because that is just, it's laughable. It makes me angry because people are going to go and pay the money. That would make me angry. But yeah, wow. You talk about taking advantage of every situation since you're not going to make a paycheck in the NFL. It's just pathetic. On the other hand, we got a game to play, which is good to know. We got one more game to win, guys. Yeah, also on this Aaron Rodgers interview was kind of interesting because Aaron Rodgers gave away the name of the play, the Hail Mary play. He gave away the name. Not like most plays you would never give that away, but it's a Hail Mary, so who cares? Everybody knows what it is anyway. But it's called the rebound pass. That's the name of the play. The only problem was the Giants didn't get a hand on it, so there was no rebound. And it never gets old. And we put up a mashup of all 3 Hail Mary passes. And the Randall Cobb one in particular, there was another shot, like a video taken from another angle, and man, it just never gets old. It never gets old. But yeah, it's called the rebound pass. So Aaron Rodgers giving us a little insight anyway. Mostly all they talked about was that he doesn't wear gloves when he shovels his driveway. So that's how he acclimates himself to the December weather at Lambeau Field. Alex Skip Bayless giving no chance to the Packers, is buying in too much to the Cowboys. Forgets 2 offensive. Yeah. It goes on a little bit. You guys can comment if you want, but I agree. I mean, these guys aren't going to give us a chance. I kind of relish that, but it kind of ticks me off too. Because here's what I see. I mean, I know that the Packers early on in the season, when we played them in week 6, the whole thing was we had held teams to like 1.8 yards rushing, and then Zeke Elliott comes in and runs up 150 on us. Well, our offense did not perform in that game. The wide receivers were dropping balls all over the place. Aaron Rodgers was missing. Had an interception in that game. This is a different game. And the Cowboys have not changed much. I don't think that they have. I don't think that the Cowboys can throw what the Giants did at us in the first half. They just don't have the defense to do it, I don't think. And I think Aaron Rodgers runs roughshod all over them. Here's my question, though. Because there's not a lot of talk about this, which Packers running back will have the most yards on Sunday? All right, roll up your thoughts. I want to see. I was going to try to do this as a poll, but it just gets too goofy. Yesterday I tried to do it, and it was so convoluted. But just throw a name up in the comments line. Who's going to have the most yards rushing? Because Zach Zenner had some mighty success against the Cowboys defense in the matchup Detroit versus the Cowboys. And he had a rushing touchdown in that game as well. Jacob's got Michael. We got a lot. Kristen Michael. And I have said Michael's my dark horse. I think he could just explode onto the scene. And watching Zach Zenner run up on him, I watched Zach, though, and then it made me think maybe it would be Aaron Ripkowski. Maybe Aaron Ripkowski would have these 8-yard runs. Adam's got Ty. And we've seen it. All these guys can run. Ty Montgomery against the Bears was stellar. But then Aaron Ripkowski comes out and basically plays starting tailback for us. And then you've got games where Aaron Rodgers has 42 yards rushing, Ty Montgomery has 42 yards rushing, and Aaron Ripkowski has 60 yards rushing. Martin's got Ripkowski. Russ has got Ty. You see, it's not really... And actually, that's very cool to me, that there's no like clear-cut, obvious, this is the guy we're going to go to kind of thing. I mean, we've got to have some success. That's all. I would love to see it spread around. I would love to see, again, I know Aaron Rodgers is going to take off when he needs to. I think Ty Montgomery can beat these guys to the edge and loosen them up a little bit. And then I'm thinking, Aaron Ripkowski could have some success once they're spread out in the A gap. I mean, that bruiser. And the only thing but I want to go with Kristen Michael. Partly because I've been calling for this guy to have a breakout game, and he hasn't done it yet. And Jerry's mentioning, Mike, this is another team, that released Kristen Michael. He played for him. Didn't think he was good enough. I would love nothing more. And if I could put a laughing face, I would. It would be so fantastic, not going to happen, but it would be so fantastic if at the end of this game, we blow the Cowboys out and Kristen Michael has more rushing yards than Ezekiel Elliott in this game. That would be awesome. But here's the deal, guys. And this is one of the stats that came up during the Detroit Lions game. So it's not current, but it doesn't matter. The exact number doesn't matter. But at the time, Ezekiel Elliott was averaging 3 yards per carry. I'll wait till my feet catch up. Ezekiel Elliott was averaging 3 yards per carry before contact. And now we got the Kung Fu Theater thing going again. Zeke Elliott was averaging 3 yards per carry before he was even contacted. This tells me their offensive line is what's really making this happen. Makes it very, very tough on the defense. And, guys like Blake Martinez, hopefully his knee's okay. We are going to have to watch our pad level, play fundamental football, and tackle well in this game. But Elliott is going to be a tall order. And Virginia says, I want to see Michael breaking free for a 20-plus yard run and do the feed me. Yeah, exactly. I do too. I think it can happen, guys. I mean, that Detroit game, of course, Detroit had more on the line than the Cowboys did, and the Cowboys ended up trouncing Detroit. But, and Taylor is asking about Geronimo's arrest. He got arrested in October. The reason it came out in the news was because his trial date is January. I suspect it will get pushed. They'll find a way to push it. And Trent, well, okay, let's go back. And Trent is talking about Jake Ryan having a great week last week, and we're going to need him, man. Remember when Jake Ryan was hurt, he was the guy I wanted back more than anybody else, even more than Morgan Burnett at the time. Jake's going to have a great game. Martinez being a little longer and a little less stocky, he's going to have to watch his pad level in this game. We're going to need him too, though. He's probably going to end up on Witten from time to time, I guess. This team, if we can make them one-dimensional, I think we've got a chance. And Charles, and we don't know, it's Wednesday, so we'll find out a little more about Martinez and the injury situation with his knee probably today. Sherry's asking about Jordy. We've talked about that a little earlier. The deal is, if he can practice on Saturday, he'll probably be able to go. But to me, it may be, if he's okay, it's just a pain management thing. And he's talked about, Aaron Rodgers talked yesterday on the Dan Patrick Show about how the equipment staff, they come up with stuff. These guys, like I have my knee brace, these guys love to come up with new stuff. And they will put things together to try to protect Jordy Nelson. They'll have some Kevlar vest with some kind of ribbing in it, plastic ribbing, something like that. I don't know. But there is a possibility he goes. Number one thing, I'm just glad he's okay and there wasn't internal damage. That was such a cheap shot. And, I love big hits in football, but leading with helmet is so cheap. It's so cheap. So number one, I'm happy he's okay. Number two, the question then is, how healthy is he? What if he re-injures this and he helps us win, but then he can't play the next game? Rob's making a good count, like a roll cage in a vest. Exactly. They're going to have something like that to try to protect him. But the key is going to be, can he practice? Is he healthy enough to practice? And that's going to be first of all. But you know what? It is, I can't help, we had this discussion earlier, but I can't help but be excited if Jordy Nelson can go in this game. Come on, if he can go, look at we saw the shot and we saw, this is a tough farm boy, Jordy Nelson. And we saw him, you saw how much pain he's in. So I can't help but be excited if he can go. I hope it's the right thing and I hope it's at the right time. Because, it'd be great to have him out on the field. Even if he's not 100%, he's going to draw attention. And if they don't respect him, he's going to burn them. So if Jordy can go, that's thumbs up, heart for me. I'll tell you that much right now. And I haven't heard anything about a fine being handed down for the hit. I will check into that, though. There needs to be one, without a doubt. And Mike says up to Jordy to make. Actually, it's not. It's up to the training staff in this situation. It's up to Jordy to heal. Hey, he's a fast healer. He did pretty good with that ACL. So here's hoping. But if he can practice, if he's good enough to practice, they say he might go. Can't help but be excited about that. All right. Yeah. What else do we need to know about this Cowboys matchup? I just don't. Here's the thing. What was the issue with the Packers early in the season when we were stumbling? The Packers were not dealing with adversity well. This is what Aaron Rodgers said. This is what Mike McCarthy said. We weren't dealing with adversity very well. Well, let's carry that over to the Cowboys team just for a minute. What adversity have they had to deal with, really? As soon as they came up against a tough defense, the Giants, they lost both games. They only scored 7 points against the Giants last time around. Now, is our defense as good as the Giants? Well, I mean, we played pretty well this last game against a seasoned playoff quarterback. I'm not, saying Eli Manning's the best around or anything. So what happens when the Dallas Cowboys run into adversity? At some point, now you've got the 2 rookies. This team is dependent on 2 rookies. And do you think Dom Capers, I'm hoping we can dial something up that he've just never seen before. And if Aaron Rodgers gets out on the field and we start having early success, I think this Packers team could do a number on the Cowboys. Now here's the question that's come up this week. What if there were no hypothetical questions? But if Dak Prescott struggles as a rookie and the Packers take a big lead in this game, and in the half, they go into the half and they're down by 2 or more scores. Thumbs up if there should be a change at quarterback. Should they put the Wisconsin boy in? Should Dak Prescott get pulled in this situation? It could happen. Angry face, no. Thumbs up, yes. Make the switch at quarterback, because if Dak Prescott, and nothing really, honestly, Dak Prescott, I'm kind of surprised, but, there's nothing that says he's going to implode in that situation. I mean, he's cool as it gets, it seems, from everything I've seen. So I'm not disrespecting, but the question did come up, should Tony Romo go in? Now, first of all, I would be just very happy if the Packers could find a way to get ahead by a couple scores. That would make me happy. My question then would be, if we're going to keep our foot on the gas for the second half. Justin says, I'm glad Dak is playing because Romo is better. Romo's a dangerous quarterback now, and he's got more experience, and he's been rested up as well. He's had his struggles in the playoffs, however. Steven's got Dak staying in. Tyler says, no way, unless they're going to change the O-line too. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're down by 2 scores, and which would kind of probably assume that the Packers have stopped Ezekiel Elliott, which we're going to talk about in a minute. How do we do this? You would have to believe that the Packers have stopped the run. I mean, really been seriously laying the wood on Ezekiel Elliott, which means then the game gets handed over to Dak Prescott. He struggles. Maybe he throws a pick. If he throws a pick early on in this game, the Packers have an opportunity to get ahead by that 2 scores. If that's the case and he struggles all the way through, maybe we kick a field goal on the way out and we're going to try to double up. Maybe we won the coin toss and deferred. I would put Tony Romo in at that point because his experience and now he's rusty, maybe, but depending on how he practiced, I'd be hard pressed to not say, Romo, this is your last chance. Bail us out of this one. And Andy's saying Jerry would put his buddy in. It could be. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. In all likelihood, we won't be that fortunate, I hope, to be in that situation. But I do think it can happen. We know that this offense needs to get off the ground early. None of this stuff like the Giants. But I don't see this defense being as strong as the Giants. Now, maybe they hold us to, a field goal in, say, the first quarter or something. Well, this could have a snowball effect. But job one on defense, we got to find a way to stop Ezekiel Elliott. This offensive line is giving him 3 yards before contact. That means 2 things. Number one, he's already made 3 yards before contact. But even more so than that, that means he has a full head of steam. And Ezekiel Elliott is a compact body, and he gets his pad level down. He runs behind his pads. He is tough to take down. We're going to need to gang tackle him, but the initial hit is going to need to be fundamentally sound. We've seen from time to time this Packer defense not be fundamentally sound in the tackling. And we have to do that. And that's where a guy like Jake Ryan I think has a lot to say. I hope Joe Thomas is healthy. Those two guys there, I think, are key because remember, we had to rotate Clay Matthews into inside linebacker to stop the run game at one point, a year and a half ago or whatever it was. Jake Ryan, Joe Thomas, big-time keys to this game as far as I'm concerned. Number one, health, but Jake Ryan seems to be doing well. And I do think we need to bring Morgan Burnett. He's played linebacker. I don't want him to have to do that because he doesn't grade out nearly as good playing that linebacker position, which is obvious for obvious reasons. But I do want us to stack the box and stop the run. And let's see if Ladarius Gunter can man up, if we can man up a little bit, but stack that box and stop the run. If you got a running back like this, we saw this with Adrian Peterson, you have to do what it takes to stop him. You have to commit some resources there, and that does make you open in other areas. So as far as I'm concerned, I think the initial defense in this game is going to we're going to have to see we're going to have our close eye on Jake Ryan and Joe Thomas if he can go. Blake Martinez as well. And I'll tell you one thing that I would like to see in this game. Give me a thumbs up or a heart if you agree with this. Okay? I'm going to try to say this because I don't want to make it sound like I want us to go back to when Clay Matthews was at inside linebacker, but I'd love to see us rotate him into inside linebacker several times. Get Julius, Clay at inside, get Perry and Julius Peppers out there and put Clay back at inside and let him go to town. Remember how effective he was? He was a Pro Bowler at inside linebacker. I would love to see us rotate. I would love to see that three-headed monster in there quite a bit in this game. Not because I have anything against Martinez. I think Thomas has had a great season. I think Jake Ryan was our leading tackler. He's been out. He may not be anymore. I haven't looked recently. But that would only be because of injury. He had 9 tackles against the Giants, I think. Maybe that was the Detroit game. But he's an inside linebacker holding down the spot and getting almost double-digit tackles. And if you add the assists, he's in double digits oftentimes. This is incredibly important. But I would love to see Julius Peppers, Nick Perry, and Clay Matthews on the inside in this, and let them stunt around a bit. Listen, Dak Prescott, he's a rookie, guys. Is it just me? Or is it time for somebody to show some defense to go out there and show Dak Prescott that, hey, you're a rookie? And show him. Just go out there and show that he's a rookie. Prove it. He's done a great job. I got him, whatever. I'll give him respect for that. But some defense at some point this year needed to do this. We didn't do it. We had one shot at it. The Giants apparently did a good job of it. But I think now is the time for our defense to go out there and mix it up and dial it up. For Dom Capers to dial it up and throw something at them that they weren't expecting. And one of these things that I would love to see is Clay Matthews with some extended time at inside linebacker. Just kicking butt and taking names. He doesn't know where they're coming from. Because if you got Nick Perry and Julius Peppers on the outside, and Julius can play either side, put Nick at his usual spot, they're going to very quickly find themselves in a hole. I'm all for it. I mean, and it's not like I want to I'm really into taking, I'm not saying I want Martinez not to play, Thomas not to play, Ryan not to play, nothing like that. I'm just saying we need to show this guy to be the rookie he is. And if we do that a couple times, he's going to either throw an interception or we're going to get a big-time sack. Remember the interception in the initial meeting against the Cowboys. That was Julius Peppers using his length, knocking the ball loose. Joe Thomas made the pick, but it was Julius Peppers popping the ball up in the air. We got to have a lot out of Julius Peppers, I think, in this game. I think we need it. I think we need Clay Matthews to really, really show up. In this game in particular, I think he's going to have a part to play. And then if you're going to call to mind our best defensive players, Nick Perry really comes into it. Because even the Detroit Lions had success when the Cowboys were trying to throw the ball. They could get to Prescott from time to time. Now, he burned them from time to time. We know that our defense is vulnerable to the pass. Angel wants 3 sacks in the first half. You got my thumbs up on that one, Angel. And then just keep pouring on the coals. Basically, we've been getting a couple sacks a game recently, but we've been able to get in the quarterback's faces enough to get those interceptions, to get the turnovers we need. Peter wants a fumble. I'd like to see all of the above in this game Sunday afternoon. It's only Wednesday, guys. Is it a long week for you? It's a long week for me. But I haven't seen any trolls yet today. Any trolls on there? I drew my chair up a little bit closer so that if a troll came on, I could ban them today. Because I was in the banning mood. Daniel's asking, what's up with Raji? Well, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in the offseason. Atreyu's got pick 6 for haha. And Mike wants to hit that. Yes, Christy's meant it's been a long, long week already, and it's only Wednesday. But at least we'll start. There's a press conference later. I got the ticker up for the press conference, the live press conference, in about 4 hours, right around 4 hours, almost exactly. We'll get a little. What McCarthy's going to do is he's going to have the press conference, and then he's going to go to the meeting with the staff, with the training staff, I'm sure. So he's not going to have any answers about Jordy. He's just going to say the same old thing, I'm sure. But we'll see. The most important thing is, Geronimo Allison has to make sure that this court date doesn't change his focus. It needs to make him more focused. The fact is, I made a mistake a long time ago. I've already moved on. I've become a good player in this league. My team might need me. So stay focused. Get more focused. We need these guys that are dinged up to get healthy as we can, That's another bit of adversity that this Dallas Cowboys team, what would happen if one of their main players, one of their offensive linemen, had to go out in this game? They haven't run into this stuff. And frankly, I say let's force feed it to them so they can think about it going into next year that, oh yeah, everything doesn't just go our way. It doesn't go this super smooth all the time. Kudos to them for staying as healthy as they are and for playing at the same level. But I think our experience is going to count. I think our ability to overcome adversity is going to count. And you guys heard the stats. Last 8 games, Aaron Rodgers averaging 300 yards a game. He's had 22 touchdowns. He's had 0 interceptions. And he's got a passer rating of almost 121 in the last 8 games. And I should have looked up what it was in the first meeting against the Cowboys because he had a bad game. And yeah, they blew us out of the water, basically. But if our defense can turn in the kind of performances that our defense has been turning in lately, and our offense continues doing what it does, and I don't see any reason why our offense shouldn't, then we have a very good chance of winning this game. That's my take. Michael is asking, do you think any players watch this show? Oh, I'm sure they all do. Yeah. No, if they did, yeah. I don't know. They might watch for some of your comments because you guys are pretty funny from time to time, actually. But yeah, number one, they don't have time for this kind of stuff in the first place. And I wouldn't want them. I want them focused. And Trent's mentioning we had 4 turnovers in that game. Turnovers, guys, important. Yes, right. We've got to keep the turnovers coming. And with it's tough to get turnovers when you have a team that can run the ball that well. But we were able to do it last time around. We've been doing better with the turnovers. We had we stalled out on turnovers mid-season. That was part of the adversity we had to overcome. And it's going to be important. So it's this game, and I'm going to say this. I said this about the Giants game. The same thing. It's even more true in the Dallas game. This is going to be a game that's won in the trenches. This is going to be trench warfare, guys. Mike Daniels, LaTroy Guion looking good. Kenny Clark coming on. Packers release Pennell, didn't feel like we needed him for the rotation. So these guys, we've got to make sure. But if we let Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys start pounding the rock, those big boys are going to get overheated. They're going to get tired. And if Aaron Rodgers and the offense stalls out like we did for a time against the Giants, this defense, we can't afford to let this defense get gassed. We truly cannot afford that right now. Not against the Cowboys. So again, we're right back to stopping the run because that starts up front too. Mike Daniels, I want to see Mike Daniels and Guion and Kenny Clark against Dean Lowry, against this vaunted Cowboys offensive line. I want to see them find a way to manhandle these guys. Where Dak Prescott goes from, oh, I get to run the ball after, I don't get hit for 3 yards, to I'm getting the wood laid to me every time, and they're gang tackling me, and let's see what he can do then. Because then, now the coaching staff has to determine, are we going to go away from, are we going to put this, is Dak Prescott going to have to win this game for us? That's when I think we have our success. Even though I think he's a good quarterback, especially for being a rookie. But this is going to be a battle up front, guys. It's going to be a huge battle. Big time battle. This is going to be a game that's won or lost in the trenches. I think we've got to, and like JB's saying, they got to close up the middle. But again, Elliott's got enough speed to beat us outside too, so we have to follow this up with great tackling in the open field. The one thing in this was mentioned earlier this morning. The one thing, Elliott, he's kind of a one-cut guy. He's not super nifty in open space. So if we can get a hand on him, bottle him up a little bit, make sure and he doesn't get to the outside, set the edge, and then we got a gang tackle, and I think we'll be okay. So folks, all right, that's pretty much the story for today. It's such a long week. But I can't wait. We have got to get this one done, guys. We got to get this one done. And it starts up front. I think we all agree we got to stop the run. We've got to block well. We've got to get a running game going. If we get a running game going, our offense is going to just tear it up. With Aaron Rodgers, the way he's playing in the passing game, whoever you think it is in our running game, if you're like me, hoping Kristen Michael has a breakout game against another team that didn't think he was good enough, he's been knocking on the door. But not quite there yet. We'll see. So I will let you go. We got a press conference coming in a little bit. I'll check that out. Jerry hopes the officials are good in this game. And Sean is making sure that, ball security being super important. All great comments. And we got a little bit of a wait before we get to see what happens. So I will let you go for today. And I will talk to you again, folks, tomorrow, same pack time, same pack place. Go Pack.